What's up guys, YST here and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today, I'm joined by Miss Layla Fox. How are you today?
Hello, hi guys. Hey YST, what's up?
It's been a long time since you've been on the channel. when was the last time? Like last year now? Silly me, how dare I?
Yeah, well we talked Ultimate Death Knight. I think that was like the big thing. That was the hype. That was the big deal at the time. So yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah, so tell us, what you been getting up to? You got the lore stories going on. I know we just had a collab. Do you want to tell the viewers what we did a story on, I guess?
We sure did. I mean, this shouldn't be a shock, you guys, but now that Raid has added lore into the game, guess who actually has a lore story in the game now, guys? Check it. He's gonna pull it up.
Here we go.
Look at that. Our boy Death Knight actually has a lore story now. So yeah, to YST's point, I have a new YouTube channel that actually split off of my main. It's Raid Lore Stories. I thought that it made so much more sense to keep the stories separate. And so that's what we did is right before this video, we recorded a lore story for our boy Death Knight right there. So make sure you guys check that out.
Yeah, I was so excited. When you messaged me saying, oh, Death Knight lore story, I was like, yo, let's go.
Yo, there wasn't anybody else I could think of. Like, as soon as I saw this, I was like, YST, I know he's gonna appreciate this. Always been such a proponent of our boy Death Knight.
I was actually scared I didn't have my Death Knight avatar on. I was like, oh, thank God, Layla's gonna kill me.
No, we're good. OGDK will be fine. We'll be good.
Yeah, but anyway, guys, what we actually thought of doing today is speaking about the utility of all of the free legendary champions that we get. And that's excluding the Doom Tower. We're just talking about daily login specific, right? So ones that we had similar to Delianas and the ninjas, and then also the ones that we get from the daily login reward program, and just ways that we kind of maybe have used them, how much of an impact they've had on our account along the way, or if you've used them at all. There's definitely been a few that I've definitely just not used apart from faction wars. Not sure about you, so it should be fun. So before we get started, myself and Layla actually decided not to put Ultimate Death Knight in the official list because we actually wanted to spice things up and see which champions do we really value apart from Ultimate Death Knight, of course, being one of our favorite champions in the game because we're big advocates for Death Knight. But of course, he does bring in those shields, he brings in those continuous heals, and also that too awesome to die passive to redirect the damage, alongside some very good fear mechanics on his A2. But Ultimate Death Knight, we're going to have to leave you out for this one. But the first one in the official list is going to be Miss Deliana.
Miss Deli.
She's actually... I don't see a ton of players using her, honestly, but when I first got her, I actually felt a tremendous value because of the Hydra boss in my second or third Hydra boss teams, where she places the AoE block bust, for example. But was there anywhere that really stood out to you when you first got it? And it was like, oh, very big impact here from Deliana.
Not necessarily. Like, that's a tough one, like you said. Like, a lot of people aren't necessarily using her right now at the probably like where we are. But I do recall that when she first came out, there were people that were more like earlier, closer to like mid game that loved her. And I even had a couple people that said that she farmed faster for them than even the starters because they weren't at the point where they were able to get the dog or bellower, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she definitely seemed like she made more of an impact, probably earlier, maybe closer to mid, maybe not necessarily where our accounts are now. But I gotta admit too, I mean, she looks fantastic. Raid did a nice job with her. And it is good that they do that too, where they make these champs viable for earlier people too.
Have you got a lore on your Deliana yet? Have you done one?
You know what? So here's the thing about the lore stories, guys, is I did do a lore story with her. I think Chosen joined me for it.
Okay.
But now what it looks like, and I was going to talk about this when we get to Scyl because this makes me crazy, is it looks like they changed all the lore stories. Like all of them are different from what they were before. So like Yumeko one's different, Deliana's is different, Scyl of the Drakes is different, and I hate it now. I hate it so much. I like the original. I was going to mention that when we got to her, but
Poor Ash.
yeah.
Ash is probably so upset right now in the corner.
He probably doesn't know.
Yeah.
Don't tell him, guys.
But you guys let us know as well, with these champions that we're speaking about, did you manage to get them? Was you playing long enough to get them? And also, where did you use them? But for me personally, Hydra Boss, Leech A1, allows you to heal by 18% of the damage inflicted. I feel that's very strong for Hydra Boss. Also, the decreased resistance, it's not as impactful for many places, but in the places that it is good, definitely worth bringing in. But yeah, really cool champion. Okay.
Yeah, I think if anything, I probably had her in Faction Wars, and maybe that was...
Yeah.
the extent, you know.
Okay, so leading into one that's a bit underwhelming in my personal opinion. I'm not sure of how you feel. I don't even know where he is because it's been a long time since
He's right there next to Shirmani, I think.
Is he? Is he here?
Yeah, Alexander, you guys. That's where I already knew what he was talking about. Alexander.
He's got his head
Do
on.
we really have to talk about him? The poor guy. Yeah, he was definitely underwhelming, unfortunately.
Okay.
especially compared to some of our others.
So if Raid came banging on your door with Genzin, right? And they're like, Layla, you need to tell us your true response to Alexander coming into the game. What was your first impressions and did you use him? Or do you still use him?
My first honest impression was they just wanted to bring in Simple's audience and they nailed it.
Yeah.
That's what they did. That's purely what this guy was for, because I don't think I've ever used him.
Yeah, I tried to use him at one point. I tried to make an excuse for it. He does hit pretty hard with the Born to Win. He tends to sound a lot like Orcs or Ogrin, so there's a bit of lore stuff going on there. He's got a big story as well. My gosh. But overall, he does have like a freeze 81, pretty good for maybe freezing the Dread Bombs in Bommel. Very niche scenarios or in the arena. He does have AoE drop defense, but weaken against enemies under those specific factions. And there is some champions that actually work very well for these faction-specific stuff, like maybe Harima would be a good example, locking out the Demon Spawn. But away from that, there's so many drop defense or weakened champions in the game, and we get Lydia for free anyway, who's much better. So I think he just gets overshadowed by other champions, such as Lydia. So, yeah,
to your point, I definitely agree with that. And then also, compared to some of the other ones we're going to talk about, he's just not up to par.
Yeah, saying that, I think MTG Jedi, when we had the faction games or some form
Yes, you're right. He had High Elves and he did end up using him. You're right.
Yeah.
So at least that was one way to kind of showcase them. I hadn't really seen anybody else using him other than that.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to pull him out the vault. I don't know if I don't even have him anymore. I must have sacrificed him or something.
Oh, did you sack him?
No, I definitely didn't. I couldn't. Definitely, guys, if you get a free legendary champion or any legendary champion, please don't. It's not worth it.
Yes, there are horror stories. I have some viewers that tell me that they fed off Masalad before his buff. I think he had a buff, right? And then same thing with Draco. Did Draco have a buff? So I remember that there were my viewers telling me they never pulled them again. And so they were so upset. I know, right?
Quick fire question. Do you have any, I'd say like ones that you've sacrificed, whether that be epic or legendary back in the day, that you strongly regret now? Probably more leaning towards an epic.
That's tough. I mean, the one that I probably did at some point was Shaman. And I know it sounds weird, guys, but I struggled in Orc Faction War so much before I was able to get Old Hermit Jorg, because he's a good reviver now. But yeah, so I know it's tough because you have to balance out. Do you sacrifice her to work on your starter, or, what do you do? So I remember that earlier everybody kept telling me to sacrifice her, and I didn't know much about the game, so I was like, okay, whatever. So I did, and I struggled so much in Orc Faction Wars. It was terrible. And then when I realized she was a reviver, I was like, well, that could have helped. So I don't know. It's, guys, let us know what you think. Is it worth? Nowadays it's probably fine and it's worth it. But back when I first was playing, it was different. And there's still a lot of champs that we don't have at the time that we have now.
I just realized that she looks like She-Hulk.
She does. Yeah. She's just a leaner version of She-Hulk, I guess. Yeah, they did a good job.
Do you know when you get these free legendary champions, right? With the 7-day login ones, does that get replaced with the shaman so you don't get her? Can you recall that?
Ooh, I don't know. It's been so long. You guys, if anybody is newer playing, let us know where you're at for the 7-day login. That's a really good question.
Yeah. So, okay. Now we have to speak about some BC boys, and I get scared to mention Ninja on my channel. I'm not going to lie. Whenever I say it, do a video, I bet you can't do that about Ninja YST. So I've just made it a thing not to ever even bring him on the channel anymore. But,
well, we are today, guys, so suck it up.
Finally.
I know we're not supposed to talk about Ninja. He's like Bruno. I get it. But today we're talking about him, okay?
Okay, so Ninja, this is a phenomenal champion, right? You still using yours in any place?
Oh, yep. Oh, of course. I mean, I do. I feel so bad for people that didn't log in at the time to get him, because he was just a really game-changing champ. And yeah, I mean, he's still usable now.
Yeah, they've tried to bring in like these burn detonators like Walking Toondrang or the Supreme Gallic, right? He does similar things and champions of that caliber, but it's just like Ninja's just that one. He just got away from a bunch of players, and I don't know why they didn't bring him back in a way. I'm not too sure. Made him summonable from shards, but I'd love that. Raid, if you're watching, if there's any way you can sort that out with Ninja behind the scenes. I don't know.
Yeah. My guess is it's probably a contractual thing with Ninja. Like, he may have even said, no, I want him exclusive. I don't want him being brought afterwards, because we'll talk about another one that you were able to get after it ended. But this one, like, It was like a one and done. That's it.
Yeah, but basically what makes him so great, guys, is the hail burn. It's the instant detonation of the burns, very strong for Hydra. You talk about Demon Lord Clan Boss, one of the best DPSs out there, or just many bosses in general. Even the Griffin is somewhere where I use them all the time. He has a strong defense, drop defense on the A1 as well, fitting turn meters. He has a way of reducing the cooldowns as well of the hail burn with this freeze AoE. He's just an all-round phenomenal champion, and this escalation passive, it just escalates. It goes through the roof, and it just ramps up his damage stats. So if you got Ninja, you know the value. If you don't have him, I'm sorry. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, we probably could have done a little viewer discretion is advised in this part. Be like, if you didn't want to hear this, fast forward a little bit, then, you know, get some next champ.
Okay, next one. Do you know what? I'm going to let you introduce her. I know you got the luxury of actually speaking to her on a live stream.
I did, guys. The next one is Rhonda. Yeah, that was really cool. I had so much of fun with her. What's really fun about that is afterwards people were asking me, they're like, were you nervous? Is she cool? Was she mean? And I'm like, no. Like, the thing is, guys, like, if you didn't know this, she's a mom. Like, I'm not even talking about like her famous self. She's a mom. She's a gamer girl. She's totally a geek like us. You know what I mean? Like, she loves video games. She plays a lot of Pokemon, and she's just a lot of fun and just such a cool person behind the scenes. I mean, everybody knows, like, she's a badass, like, MMA star, obviously WWE movie star. There's so much about her, but she was just really cool. And I was happy to see that they added her into the game, like a really strong female character. And they did a really good job with her design too. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's so good, and she still gets used in the end game. I remember when she first came out, loads of the community in my comment section anyway was so underwhelmed of her, but you're seeing her in live arena everywhere, and I've definitely been smacked up by her. But it was you actually did a really good job on that stream. Now I remember thinking back, like, teaching someone on the spot how to play Raid for the first time under the pressure of having their champion in the game. It's a tough thing to do, especially with the audience, right? So
yeah, so they learned their lesson with Ninja.
Yeah.
You guys, right? Because if you remember talking about Ninja, like he came in by himself and the community tore him apart. And I kept trying to remind people, like, look, guys, he's not paid to be an expert of the game. He's paid to be an influencer. He's paid to bring his audience to the game. So they learned their lesson with her. And also considering that, yeah, like, you know, she's a gamer too. Most people wouldn't know that. So when they brought me in, so there were some funny things with that. First of all, they told me she had enough silver to roll up her gear in shards. She didn't.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
You know what I mean? And so afterwards, everyone's like, of course, classic Plarium. You know what I mean? And so on stream, I remember I would think I was like buying silver. I was doing stuff and I was like, listen, guys, don't at me. This is like a crisis scenario. Like, you just got to do what you got to do to finish the content, right? So that was hilarious. But yeah, she was a lot of fun. She had played a little bit, so she kind of had an idea of how to play, which was good. But yeah, like on the spot, being able to do that. What does help is, I mean, Rhonda's a great champ, and she had a great roster, so that made it pretty easy as well.
Yeah, it's weird because I only knew her from the UFC because I'm a big UFC fan. So when I seen her coming in, I was excited, and everyone was like, "Who's Rhonda?" I was like, "Come on, guys!" But then
I think you and I were like the only two that knew. I mean, like I remember I was in the CC channel, be like, "Yeah, I love seeing Rhonda," and everyone's like, "Who?" I'm like, "Oh my god, really?"
Yeah, no, it's really cool, man. It's really cool. But away from like arena stuff, is there anywhere else where you feel like for me personally, her highlight on my account at the moment is she's still in my Demon Lord Clan Boss team on my main account, and not as a meme as well. She's very, very strong for that because of the A1 with the extra hit. It's just so many hits going out, and with Brimstone as well, it's a lot of damage. But anywhere else that kind of screamed out to you?
And still Fire Knight. I mean, everyone knows like she was made for the Fire Knight. And I love that they even did that with her commercial too, where she went after him. That they specifically made her for that, which was great.
In the commercial, did she put the Fire Knight in an armbar or not? I think they did it with a dragon,
no,
right?
She didn't. No. She put the gloves on, like she was wearing her flame gauntlets, and she went after him and she just hit him. But no, she didn't put him in an armbar. That would be cool. Though.
Have you seen the new advert though? There's like a one that just came out a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's you're talking about the commercial. Yes, like the newer commercial.
It was a dragon,
right?
Yeah,
she like was doing an armbar and stuff. Yeah, that was funny. The original one, she just kind of ran after him, like the original introduction one. But you're right, the new one is pretty funny.
Yeah, and one last thing to touch up on here as well, guys. The passive effect, being immune to turn meter reduction effects when the skill is not on cooldown, is actually very cool for arena, where someone like a Lissandra, whoever that may be, is trying to turn meter manipulate you. She's going to be able to counter that as long as you've got this available. So yeah, really, really cool champion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love her.
Next up, Shout out to my boy Ash. We're looking out for you, Ash, here, all right? If I can find a faction, I'm sorry, Ash.
Upright, there you go. Scyl the Drakes.
Scyl the Drakes, okay. So, all right, before we speak about her, which is your favorite skin?
I'm going to have to go with her original.
The classic.
I just don't like
okay.
the other two as much.
Okay. All right, Scyl the Drake. So to speak to us why you feel like if you feel like she's an amazing champion to get 160 days, right? 120? I have to go check
Oh my
again.
God. For me personally, she was a game changer. She really, really was. I remember again, back when I started, I even had trouble just clearing Dragon 20 for God's sakes. You know what I mean? So I remember when I got her, I think I ended up getting her and I think I got Tyrell at about the same time. Then I was able to start clearing the 20 dungeons. But up until then, I struggled because I feel like she just has such a good kit, especially that far into the game, right? She has her AoE stun. I mean, she has the little revive. She's got the little off heal that she tosses out. She's just such a fantastic champ.
Yeah, I don't tend to use mine anymore apart from faction wars, but when I first got her, the value was crazy. It's like, you could take, it's one of those champions that you could take her everywhere in the same build, whether that be Doom Tower progression or just trying to survive in dungeons or arena. She's just such a great champion to put where she is in the game. And I'm a big fan of her, man. They did a good job of Scyl.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, she's still great.
Okay, next up. We've got, what did you call it? Before recording, you called this champion something. I'm not going to repeat it.
I called her a chicken. She's the chicken of the game.
She's actually a chicken? I don't know.
She looks like a chicken. She's got wings and stuff. You know what I mean? I'm like, whatever. She's the flying skinwalker, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there are very many. Is she the only one with wings in Skinwalker? I think so.
I have to have a quick look now.
Right? I don't know, guys. I feel like she's the only one with wings.
Maybe.
So that's why I call her the chicken. She's the only thing that flies.
Oh no. Poor chicken.
Right? Did you really just check to see if Norog had wings?
Sorry.
Flying bacon.
Pigs can fly.
Pigs can fly sometimes, but
Yeah. So, okay, Cleopatrix, is this somebody you're familiar with or used a lot, or did you just kind of get her in this, move on?
I got her and moved on, honestly.
Okay. Was there any reason for that? Or was just nothing screamed out to you on first glance?
I think for myself, I had already cleared Skinwalker Faction Wars. So in that case, I know a lot of people were using her in there as well, too, to kind of help out. I had already cleared it. And so there was nothing that I felt like I really wanted to use her with at the time.
Yeah, for me, it was I was very intrigued in her at first because she was one of the first champions that could place the Hex debuff. And now we've got a good bunch. Speak about Akemta, Mishinaki, the list goes on and on. But when you see a new debuff, it always is it just draws you to it, right? Especially even with the taunt buff of some of the new factions, Sylvan Watchers, there's a few in there. So I did try her out. She does deal some pretty decent damage for a Spirit Affinity nuker. And she does bring some decent utility as well, like being able to place an increased crit rate, increased crit damage, chance of placing block active skills on targets under Hex, and also a weaken A1. I think
she's better now too, right? They upgraded how Hex works. Yeah. Because I think at the time it was very different. Because to your point with the Hex, I actually had a different champ that I built out and tried that had Hex, and I was very disappointed at the time.
Yeah. 100%. I was just trying to see if there's anything else that I missed out here. Yeah. Increased accuracy as well. Increased accuracy is one of those niche. It depends. If you're end game and you've got a bunch of accuracy stats on your champions, it might not be the best thing in the world. But being able to alleviate some of that, just to place your debuffs out, is actually pretty decent. And a fear as well, not as impactful as a true fear, but still can make someone miss their turn, right? So I think she was a good champion, not a bad one. I think she was. There was kind of an uproar at the time, right? Because it was when they took away our Sacred Shard and 5-star chicken. Yes. And then they gave us a chicken instead. And then it's like, what are you doing here, Raid? You could have given us anything else.
See, that's also why she's the chicken, right? Yeah. Because they did that. They took away our shard, they gave us a chicken, and they gave us Cleo. So yeah, you're right. There was a whole riot and an uproar. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. It's all right, Cleopatrix. We look out for you. I got you. Okay. Next one we're going to go into is, I'm going to go into Visix next, actually. Keep it a bit positive here because I love Visix. And there she is. Now, away from the fact that I fed my other two duplicates into my Lydia to get some +2s going on, I did keep one, and I do love my one. And back in the day when she was first released, she wasn't the best champion, right? There was a lot wrong with her kit. But since then, I think she's become one of the best introduction to Hydra boss champions and even some endgame scenarios in this game because We got the AoE provokes, lock out at the head of decay, places a shield on herself, a form of protection, right? AoE decrease speed, ally protection, we've got 10 meter fills, we've got 10 meter reduction for Fire Knight. I think she is, I don't know if I, I don't know if I should say this, but I think I'd rather Visix than Scyl. Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
I do.
I feel like, you know what's tough is I feel like they're very different though.
Yeah.
You know, they have two very different kits. They're very different champs. I really like Visix as well too. I think she was really important for me when I was clearing faction wars initially, like when I had gotten her. And again, yeah, when they changed her, that made her so much better, so much more clutch. So is she better than Scyl? That's a hard one because I feel like they're so different. They're just so different.
I think the reason why I say that is I feel like once I got my Arbiter, my Scyl of the Drakes laid off a little bit for me. And I feel like Visix does bring that provoke that's not only for the waves, but also for the Hydra. If there was no Hydra, I'd probably stick with Scyl though. I think the stuns.
And I like, and see what's still like, I love that AoE stun, which becomes really important in some places like, like Doomtide becomes important. There's so many scenarios where having that AoE stun becomes so important to CC. For those of you guys that don't know, that's crowd control. That's, I come from the world of MMOs, right? So I always say like CC, it doesn't mean content creator in this instance. I'm talking about crowd control. So it becomes really important for that, trying to mitigate the enemies and the opponents so you can kind of focus on what needs to be focused as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I need to take that statement back. Sorry, Scyl. Do you know what?
Drop us a comment. What do you think? What do you think?
Ash I'm gonna message Ash for a collab. He's gonna be like, "Sorry, why has Tia heard what you said about Scyl here? He can't be coming on anymore." Okay, next one. Some call her ugly. I call her a beauty, to be honest. Gerda Bogbrew. And I'm one of those secret fans, and I've jumped in the collab with Ash, and I've done it on my own channel, and I've spoke about it quite vocally, to be honest. I think Gerda Bogbrew is a phenomenal champion, but we just get it at the wrong time in the game. I think by the time you get Gerda, your account's already developed enough to not need her. But if you guys are thinking about Poison Explosion teams, or you want to switch up from the Seer, or whatever that may be, or 10 meter reduction in the waves, or the Fire Knight, if you pull it early, this is a great champion, man, because very similar to Bad Okazar, you can just place 2 poisons. You can also remove debuffs from your allies, whilst also removing buffs from enemies. Leading into this, that rather places the weaken or the poison, but the poison's non-resistible if the weaken's not available, or you get resisted. We've got a debuff spread effect as well, taking a random debuff from the target and placing it on enemies under weaken. And a 10 meter reduction by 3% for every single debuff that is placed on enemies. So think about drop defense, weaken, poisons, decreased attack, decreased defense. All of these are going to mitigate the 10 meter, and for the Fire Knight in particular, very strong passive here, I think.
You said, it could just be that the timing, and that could be it with some of the champs in general, is it could just be the timing of when we get them. Like if she was brought in earlier, kind of like a Scyl or something like that, would she make that much more of a difference for accounts than she does by the time you get her? I think that, to your point, that probably is what affects a lot of these champs.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is, I think there should be a selective phase where for anybody that passes the Visix and the Scyl of the Drakes and stuff, where the chicken came in, the Cleopatrix, I think at that point there, you should be able to choose your fate. And I want to go for a Gerda next. I want to go for a Cleopatrix.
That'd be fun.
Because not everybody needs a damage dealer, right, at that point. They might just want to have a debuffer to make Poison Explosion. So, or the next one we're going to speak about as well. So I think choose your fate, right, will be a good option for players out there.
Talking about, before we move on from Gertie, because I know that you love her for many cases and you think that she's lovely.
Yep.
Now, what's interesting about this faction, and remember I was telling you that they changed the lore stories? So War Mother's lore story used to say that she was the epitome of beauty for this faction. So again, basing her off of War Mom, yeah, we can see, she's probably going to be, a Miss America, Miss Teleria of the Ogryn guys. What do you guys think?
Who do you think makes the better tea? War Mother or Gerda?
Makes the better what?
Who makes the better tea or coffee?
Oh, I don't know. War Mama.
Really? Literally, Gerda's got a brew in her name. She
does, but War Mama strikes me as the very competitive type.
Okay.
She strikes me as the kind, like, she's gonna hit you over the head with that cleaver, and she's gonna just.
Okay, so what we do is you go for tea with War Mother. You let me know how it was, okay? And then.
Oh no, we'll pretend we did.
I'll stick with Gerda. For God's sake. Okay, next up is going to be Erick's from the Knights Rev, right? I believe.
Yep.
Where is she? There she is. Now, Erick's very quirky champion, and it kind of came into fruition very recently, I'd say, with Live Arena, where people was using the counterattack buff on herself and going through in Stone Skin and building a maximum damage and just consistently attacking the enemies, right? But away from that, like, she does have AoE stun potential, which is good for waves as well, or even in some classic arena battles if you want to stun the enemies, or in the spider's lair to stun the spiderlings. I think she's got a very good kit, but once again, like the Gerda, we get it too late in the game for my liking.
Yeah. I think that was most people's opinion on her, is that if she came sooner, she could have made much more of a difference for so many more accounts than she does by the time we get her.
Yeah, she's really good. Like the ally protection 3-turn cooldown as well. Like, there's a lot of potential for her away from arena, I think. But I think nobody wants to use it away from arena at that point in the game, which is unfortunate. Unless you pull it early.
Yeah.
I think she's actually a very strong champion for anyone out there that pulls it early. I think she can carry a lot of accounts out there for sure.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, okay, I think that's us covered for all of the actual current free champions, right? But we've got a little sneaky one for you people that stay towards the end. As you know, we got the Call of the Arbiter. The first one starts in 2 days, right? Well, from the time you guys watch this, tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah.
So, are you excited for this, Call of the Arbiter?
I am so excited. And you guys, let us know what you think. We kind of got a sneak peek of what the new champ looks like. He looks like he could be a dwarf. That's what I was thinking. And I know there's so many like theories and all kinds of fun stuff going around, but he looks like he could be a dwarf that's actually going to be in Call of the Arbiter. And the reason why I say that is because they've hinted so many things a bunch of times already, saying that we're going to see new faces being added into the game and into Teleria. And then we have some new champs that look like they're going to become known in Call of the Arbiter, right? Who we don't know yet. So that makes me think, is that maybe he's a dwarf that's actually in there that we don't know yet.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that the legendary should be dropping throughout one of the episodes, right? I'm not sure if we've had any news on that, but they did say that we'll be getting it throughout the series, right?
Yeah, my guess is, and guys, don't quote us on this because we actually don't know.
Yeah.
My guess is they would probably do it when it starts.
Okay.
You know, that would be my guess anyway. So Thursday?
It makes sense to do that because it just adds to the hype of everything, right?
Right.
Is there anyone in this series that you're looking forward to in terms of, apart from Arbiter, of course, is there anyone else that you like, a sneaky one?
Well, what I love, you guys, is because the Call of the Arbiter, all of the starter champs now have lore stories, and Allure has a lore story as well, too, which is pretty cool because we know that she's in there. Jaizo most likely does as well. So it looks like any of the champs that we know, like even the starters, like they actually have new lore stories put into the game too. So I think that's really cool, is that they're really trying to propel this like World of Teleria, really give us this cool fantasy arc, and also making sure that they put the lore into the game. And I have been reading a bunch of the different lore stories live on Twitch. And I will say that the ones I've done so far, like I did Ragash, we just did Michinaki at the time of this recording, and I did for Cardial Cecilia. Cardial Cecilia and Michinaki was really good.
Oh,
like
really?
the lore stories, it seems like they're really putting a lot of thought and depth into these stories now. So that made me really excited. Really, really excited.
Do you feel like everybody that's actually got a lore story will be in the series?
That would be nice if they did. Maybe not. And the reason why I say maybe not is because they said when they were putting the lore into the game, they were doing favorite legendaries, like favorite champs.
Well, it doesn't look
I
like
know we
what's
looked at
going on, Raid?
Listen, guys, remember I said how I DM'd YST for Death Knight? As soon as I saw Genzin, I looked to see if he had lore, and I was like, darn it. Because again, you know, we've talked about this numerous times. If he ever had lore, then yeah, you would be joining me on that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Layla, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a blast. I've been enjoying speaking about these free legendary champions. Guys, I'm going to leave the lore story in the description below for you guys to go and check out. Make sure you click that, drop a sub to Layla. Let's get it to 10, 100 million subscribers, as she deserves it. And yeah, anything you want to say here before we sign off and all that good stuff?
Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us, YST. Thanks for joining. This is always so much fun. I love just kind of having fun with some of this. Like I know today we talked about the login champs. And like we talked about too, the login champs could really make a big difference on accounts. So it's always fun being able to chat about them. And then, yeah, seeing the difference of some of the ones we get now that, you know, maybe it's a timing thing, right? For their usability or not.
So silly me, we actually cut off the recording and had to hit back Layla because we forgot to answer the whole question of what we thought was our favorite legendary champion out of all of those free ones today. So do you want to kick us off with the one that you actually, if you could have only one given to you, but you can't have the rest, which one would you choose?
Gosh, see, that's so hard because again, I feel like they have so many different uses. Oh my god. I mean, for me, I gotta say it's a toss-up between Ninja and Scyl. I mean,
Which one?
for me,
You
it's a
got-
toss-up between Ninja or Scyl. I know. Just because, again, I remember how much of a difference Scyl made for me as far as progressing, right? And then, I mean, Ninja you can just use throughout the whole game as well, too. And he's phenomenal for starting out. So tough. You have to be tossed between them.
I think we'll agree both on Ninja, so we both get 2 and then.
Okay.
My other one would be... Do you know what? Just to counter what you just said, I'm gonna stick with the Visix. Like I said before,
Okay.
I think I couldn't live without Visix, but I could potentially live without Scyl, maybe. There we go.
Okay. I thought you were gonna go Gertie. Thought you were gonna go your girl Gertie for a minute there.
I was, but then I was thinking about like Dark Hails and other options, but Visix fulfills so many for me, yeah. But yeah, guys, that was our favorite champions. You guys let us know in the comment section, who do you think is the most powerful free champions that's given to us by Raid? I'm interested to know as well what you guys think. And if you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like, subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys on a video soon. Peace.
And this is the real goodbye this time. Bye.
Yeah.